That works then. All right, so I'm just going to share a desktop and let me get to where we're going. And we'll move through this kind of quickly. How many of you actually found the materials? That's one good question, I guess, to ask. How difficult was it just getting the materials in itself?
A lot of them don't exist in my system.
Not there.
Mm-hmm.
Such as?
Some strategic plans weren't there.
Right. Well, and then there wasn't one for my county, and then the one for my school, my vice principal wouldn't send me the entire thing. I was like,
how is that?
I don't know, because she's kind of
Yeah, some of my budget was blacked out, and they didn't want me to know yet.
Wow. Isn't that just amazing, guys? That things that should be public, things that should have feedback from all stakeholders are to the point where you have no input on it. I think that's real interesting, right?
I had that problem with the budget also with technology because it's not line itemed on our district budget. And so when I talked to our tech coordinator, she told me I needed to talk to the finance officer, and he told me I needed to talk to her. So we were just kind of playing phone tag, kind of trying to get the information, but neither one of them wanted to share.
My school system was pretty transparent. We just didn't have the policy about the teacher-student communication.
Yeah, same here on that one.
I don't think any county had a student teacher communication policy.
But what's funny about that is you get told, like for me anyway, there's not anything in writing on that, but we sure get told the rules about it, in faculty meetings and whatnot. So they've got rules that they want us to follow, but it's not formal, I guess.
Well, like my school system, we have a social media policy for teachers that we have to, it's in like our paperwork whenever we sign our contract, but we don't have one for students.
Same for me.
And nobody sees the need to develop one either. And I was like, well, okay.
Hey guys.
Yes.
Let's help each other out right here.
Okay.
We need to tell where we're located because we're just saying mine has it, mine doesn't. So we don't really have an idea of comparing between systems. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So I didn't mean to just ruin y'all night like that, but I really enjoyed the conversations and discussions. But in order to accomplish the goals of this part of the presentation, I think we need to work on that. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me go to the first one. Is technology a part of your school system's mission and vision for students, faculty, and staff?
Didn't show anything, saying anything about technology, and within the Montgomery Public School System, it didn't show anything within the mission or the goal statements.
Right, that's same here.
Where's same here?
That's more just within the strategic plan of Montgomery Public Schools.
Okay, so
like we've attended professional development for discovery education. I now, like they do PD for us, but it's more in our strategic plan than it is in the actual mission and goal.
Okay, so there's nothing in, basically in a comparison of the systems, in it, did anyone have a mission statement or kind of vision that has 21st century learning or technology in it?
We don't, but we are in the process of shortening our mission statement. It is like a full page and no one knows what it is. And same thing for the vision. We're actually meeting with our Apple rep tomorrow. That's one of our main priorities. So at least, Scott, where I am, we're trying to get there.
Because like you said, most of the time mission statements and then people want you to know it. And I'm like, you can cancel me remembering all of that.
It's paragraphs long.
Yeah, so.
I really don't think Chilton County's has been updated in probably
70 years.
Same with Enterprise.
Yeah, Elmore County doesn't either in either mission or vision statement.
Right.
In Autauga County, believe it or not, our mission statement used to have a part in there about creating 21st century learners. And they've changed it in the last few years, and now that part is taken out. So now, currently, it does not say anything about it.
And I had a hard time finding the Otago County technology plan on the website and on Google Drive.
Yes, they are on what I can't even think, the site that we upload the CIP Community Improvement Plan, the Assist site. They're all on there. You can get to them on that site, but you have to have credentials and logins and this and that to get to them.
Oh, like a P drive.
Mhm.
So as you're writing this up, one of the things that you guys found that even the process of finding policies or technology is extremely difficult. As you all have said, it's not in the mission. It's not in the mission of the school system. So how are we saying we're going to produce 21st century learners and it's not in the mission of what we're doing? It's not a focus. And as you can see from a funding standpoint, from an integration and a support in most of our schools, it's not there. And the second piece that I would suggest you guys note is that the difficulty in which you found as far as assessing and finding the information. So how, having input on it is limited. For example, the mission vision statements should have a integrated approach from everyone in your school system. It shouldn't just be two people come up and say, oh, the mission and vision of the school is this. It should have stakeholders participation in it. It should have community involvement, students, outside people. Everyone should, in that community, should be a part of that process of developing that mission and vision. And as you can see, that doesn't happen. Therefore, the community's vision for the students, faculty, and staff are not often integrated into the school systems.
We just had a Survey Monkey go around our school system a few weeks ago. They're evidently revising the mission statement again, and they sent out some choices and wanted us all to vote. I guess that's them letting us have input. But I don't know who created those choices that we had to choose from. So,
okay, so that is interesting. They're trying to get your opinion based on it. So we're going to see if we have technology inputted in there. Other thing that you guys would probably say that based on a comparison, most of the plans are also outdated.
Yes, some from 2014, 2012 almost.
So access and policies are out of date. That's two big issues I guess you should discuss in there. Next piece is everybody okay to move on past the vision?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes, Erica Eller?
Yes.
Thank you. Does your school system strategic plan address the future technological needs in education?
No, it did not on Montgomery Public School Systems.
Did it have technology in it? Yes, you said it did have technology in it.
Maybe from what I looked up, maybe I might have gotten the wrong information on something, but I didn't.
Enterprise City School System Improvement Plan is from 2015 and 16, but we did have technology in there.
And in there, what do you mean by that?
In our system improvement plan.
Okay, so what did they say are the goals of it?
Well, we had 6 different strategies, and they were wanting to hire a director of innovation and change instructional platform where it's more student-centered and work towards a one-to-one classroom.
Okay, so somebody is starting to do something then. That's Enterprise, right?
Yes, sir, but it's old. They didn't update it for this year.
Okay, so
That was 15, 16.
2015, 16. Part of the problem that we have with that is that we create the policies, but we don't hold ourselves accountable for implementing them. That's another thing that you can say is that, okay, it was for 15, 16. Okay, when do we go back and assess the results of it? It was just like when you're teaching, you're required, if you're ever in a school improvement situation, I think you do more of it now is looking at your data and seeing how you improve for a continuous process and closing the loops. But a lot of times we make goals, but we never go back and evaluate how effectively we met the goals. Same thing with technology here. We come up with some of the plans. Sometimes we follow through and sometimes we don't.
In Autauga County, the strategic plan has 3 action steps for technology, but in my opinion, they're just vague. But anyways, they are basically to utilize available funds to develop 21st century classrooms throughout the district. That's one. The second one was use or update the infrastructure in the building as available funds are there. And the third one was to provide professional development for teachers. And I mean, like I said, there's no, that doesn't speak to me, and we're trying to make strides to be more innovative and move forward. It's just kind of, like I said, I don't know, just seems a little like fluff.
If your professional development's like enterprise, it's a lot of talking and not really showing anything.
Okay.
Well, they just offer, you know, during our in-service days, there'll be options for little blurbs on technology. They're not required. So the ones that needed that, they certainly are going to be there.
Okay.
I went to one on a work day on March 10th to go look at a math program to like how to assign like homework and stuff online and use your computers. And after we sat there for an hour, the teacher finally came out and said, oh, but you have to have this textbook and have these codes to log on. And it wasn't even the textbook that any of the schools used. That was there. And I was like, what was the point of us even sitting here and you showing us this tool that whenever we can't even use it because we don't have access to it? It wasn't very well thought out.
Right.
I'm sorry.
A lot of our professional development is not effective.
Okay, so I would say based on your review is that the professional development and the technological needs are not properly reflected in most of the strategic plans.
Mm-hmm.
My school is a little differently, runs a little differently. The Alabama Independent School Association does different audits and things for us, and then we make a plan based on that. The document I have now is from 2014. We're in the process of the other. So I don't know if the lack of technology in our strategic plan is because we, at the time, were doing it well, or if it was just not a priority to that committee that reviewed our school. But it's not an item that's currently listed. It does say something about 21st century, but not specifically.
Okay.
Elmore County's is old as well. They're actually in the process of rewriting it, but the one that I got, I think it's like 3 years old. I mean, it had 7 points. I was actually surprised to see that actually most of them they actually have implemented. There's a couple that I haven't seen, and they may do them, but I haven't seen them. But on the whole professional development thing, and I said this today in the Facebook thing, it doesn't seem like we get the training enough to really work with it and get comfortable with it is the problem. And then we're just kind of thrown into the classroom and hoping to be able to use it. So that's what I would like to see changed in professional development. Maybe have more time to practice with those kind of things instead of just being told about them and then trying to figure it out on your own once you get back in the classroom.
It's kind of tough. You're told about it, but then you're also evaluated on it. So there's two pieces that's totally not fair. So then they tell you about it. They don't give you a chance to know proper professional development, but at the same time, then they want to come in your classroom and evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it extremely difficult to do without having any input from you, the person that actually supposed to do it. So I would say they do need to have more involvement of all personnel in the decision making of policies. As we saw from the, there's a small group of people that make the policies. They need more input, and I think Leanne has a little different environment because I guess you have more stakeholder input and involvement in your school, right?
We do. We have a technology fee built in with our tuition, which we're able to adjust kind of as needed. But we also seek out donors, alum, and people like that. we're undergoing iConnect 2.0 right now, which is our second technology initiative. Our first one was in 2012. Really just kind of gain some height. So we really try to highlight what our teachers are doing so that the people who are providing us money will continue to do so.
Okay.
I'm very excited about where I am. I wish that all schools were putting in as much effort as mine, but we're run a little bit differently, so I understand it doesn't always work that way.
Somebody was saying aye.
Yes, that was me. I wasn't able, and I talked with Erica also. She's in school at Pike Road Schools, and I wasn't able to find our strategic plan either. But this is only our second year of having a school system in general. I mean, and it's a preschool through ninth grade school right now, and so I don't know if it's we don't have one or she and I both tried to get with administrators to get our hands on that, and nobody responded to us and kind of pushed that to the side.
That part of the reason why your superintendent retired. I'm just asking. Is that might be part of that? They might be developing another one, and they might not want to share that one now because they knew she was retiring.
Potentially. And I know you're talking about technology. We are fourth grade and above. We're one-to-one with MacBooks. And our students are charged like a technology fee. Now, when they start breaking them, I think we kind of, since I've only been doing this for a week, kind of getting into that aspect of it out of the classroom, I think we probably go in the hole somewhat on some of that kind of stuff with insurance and all that kind of thing. But our students do have a technology fee that they pay, and even my son that's in third grade, he has their one-to-one with iPad, and he had a fee that he had to pay. Obviously, that doesn't come home with us, but when they start fourth grade, MacBooks start going home, and so that's just something that we do. But again, I was not, neither one of us were able to find a strategic plan.
Okay, and you guys are answering this question already, I would say so. Does your school system model equitable access? I'm thinking that you guys are answering that now based on some of the responses. You know, you're saying that you have the technology funds that students have to pay. They have the fourth graders and up this Pike Road. Leanne was just saying how they have technology fees to make technology equitable in the school for all students. As Steve was saying, Montgomery, it's not really equitable in all circumstances because some parents can have more contributions and then other schools get title money. So it makes it extremely difficult to make everything fair for all people. I think that's a fair way of answering.
We have,
yes.
At Athens City, I'm looking at the protection plans that are similar to Pike Road, and we have different fees depending on the child. Like there's a regular fee that's $50. If they're on a free and reduced lunch, their fee is only $25. And if you have multiple children, it's $40.
So guys, you see how that makes it more affordable, taken into consideration. So that was Athens City. So you guys have four systems right there where you're comparing that equitable access. So any other one as far as hardware and software?
Whenever I talk to my school technology coordinator, one like major issue we're dealing with now is that our county's out of bandwidth.
Who's talking?
Katie.
What class or what school are you in?
County, I'm sorry.
Which county?
Chilton.
Chilton. Okay, thanks.
And so like they, over Christmas, we had access points installed in every classroom. And now like our mini classes, we can't even get on the internet now. Like it's like they've overloaded it. And so that's like a major issue we're dealing with right now is that half of us can't even log on to do things, even if, you know, your class has a computer card or something like that. So they said we have to wait till the summer and it's going to be fixed. But that's like one of our biggest problems right now is that even like if we were one-to-one, we would never be able to use it because even if 4 classes have computers going at the same time, we're pulling way too much.
And then your teachers who already don't want to use it give up.
Exactly, because they're like, this is crappy. I'm trying and I can't even do it. So why am I even trying?
Well, that goes back to why it's important to develop your appropriate strategic plan and budgets. If you have the people that plan for those types of things, I know we can't plan for everything. However, through a careful process of planning, they would have a better understanding of the need for developing the infrastructure.
I agree.
So then that could have been a plan as far as a process, instead of waking up this morning and says, oh, schools down the street have this, and this, and we're going to give everybody a laptop, and the infrastructure is not there to support it.
That's pretty much what our superintendent did. So
they woke up one morning and said, we want to be like everybody else.
He did, and he's trying, and it's not really working.
I'm glad they're trying, but they need to put it in that plan and get some technology people on it so that they can assist with it. Because without the infrastructure, just like Steve was saying, those access points was $1 million.
It blows my mind.
And if you don't have the access points and the infrastructure, you can spend what they do. A lot of times they spend all the money on the hardware, and then it doesn't work because it doesn't have the infrastructure to support it. So in order to do that, proper planning has to take place and proper training. I think through the conversations, we've already answered that piece right there, is that we don't have proper training and implementation of technology. I think that would be consensus, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Another struggle that I have, or at least my school, it's not necessarily getting the devices in the students' hands. It's that our app budget, we're an Apple distinguished school, it's just up for grabs. So if a teacher wants a $5 app pushed out to all of her students and she buys like 2 sets of those apps, then my budget as a technology teacher, I am stuck with free apps for the rest of the year, which aren't bad. But if there's no system on how each class can divide their money.
So that's a good point to add there, guys, that you found out that through comparison with other systems that there needs to be structures developed to make access through the app for all people, all students, all teachers. So that's a very good point, because a lot of times that was the thing with me, when they gave us an iPad at University of Alabama. I said, well, it's a good iPad, but if you ain't buying the apps, you can keep it.
Exactly.
So I said, well, where's my funding for apps? And then they said, well, we're not going to fund it. And I said, well, then the apps don't go in the university name that's put on there then. But that's part of it, is how do we make sure that the funding is equal for all people and the access to it? Because a lot of times it's not the device, it's what we do with the devices is what's important. And a lot of times if we don't have the applications of the software, it limits the whole function. Any other attributes, or Erica, what do you want to add to this other than that look that's on your face?
No, Diana said it all. We just have the tech fee and nothing else, and that's not really held up to any standard. I mean, some kids break it and have to pay. Sometimes we don't know how it was broken and they don't pay. So
I think the piece is that I guess it would be good to notice that it's never going to be equitable, because we can give everybody the same thing at school, but when students get home, that's when everything changes. How they use the technology. Like you said, they say, oh, okay, all the kids in MPS has internet access. They have Facebook access. Yes, Facebook can be on a mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather have my child programming or trying to break into the network at MPS instead of playing on Facebook as far as the skills.
We also have those kids.
That's what I want. I want mine. I want her to be that technical.
Hey, I have a money question.
Yes.
The E-rate, based on was that money based on your free and reduced lunch?
yeah.
Okay.
We said.
So like Erica and Diana, so for Pike Road, I know last year they didn't get money federal money for free reduced. Do they get it this year?
No.
No.
And does that affect whether or not you can get E-rate money? Like, is that tie together?
I would say yes. That's what he said.
Yeah, I would think that we would not be eligible for that because we don't do.
I don't think we have enough on it.
Well, and I think the reason they don't do free and reduced, like Erica said, there's not very many children that would qualify for it. But then because we don't, like on Mondays, we have Papa John's Pizza. We offer
You
the
get
kids
more options.
tons of options throughout the week. You can have Chick-fil-A on Wednesday. You can have this on Thursday, just.
We're having Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, we're having Taco Tuesday tomorrow. Like, just they're able to do other things. And evidently that's a fairly large money maker because of how that works. But yeah, I don't think we participate.
Yeah, I knew their reasonings for not taking the nutrition money, but I just didn't know if that affected whether or not you could get the technology E-rate.
I would probably guess it would affect it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I work for Davis Elementary with MPS, and about 95% of our students get free and reduced lunch. So we have no problem with receiving Title I funds. We've actually been adopted by Faulkner University. We're planning a community-based school. So we have a lot going on where we have people who are willing to write grants for us to get us the funding, which makes our principals stay on top of us. We are required to do Learning Compass. All of our students in the classroom have got to log in at least one time during the school week. And she announces it over the intercom if you get 100%. Or we're using Class Dojo to address behavior because that's a big thing with office referrals with us. So when it comes to Davis Elementary, we don't have too much trouble with getting funds for technology. And we are currently integrating technology, but they are definitely with the state takeover, making sure that technology is being integrated. We're going through a lot of professional developments, and they told us not to make any plans this summer. So
Wonderful.
Wow. So unless you paid like in December to go, you are expected to cancel those plans.
Wow.
That is wonderful. So I tell you what, though, that sounds real interesting. I tell you what, then, sounds like if you want technology, all you got to do is go to Title I school. You get all you want.
Right.
I'm at a Title I school, and I was shocked whenever I got hired and I walked in and they said, here's your MacBook for you to use and your iMacs on your desk, and here's your iPad for every classroom. So,
and I think it depends on how the group decides to use that Title I money.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
Our principal, I was on the committee this year, which was the first time. Mr. Steve was talking about how the principal gets a committee together. They think about, the educators talk about how they want to use the tech money. And then we presented it last Monday in the faculty meeting. And then the entire school voted whether or not to use our money that way.
I think that's excellent because we're not included in those decisions.
Yep, and that's
I
where
was on that.
Yeah. And
I was on that at my school in Enterprise this year. And we bought like 28 Chromebooks with our money.
Okay. So at least they are adding the input, and now you can see that's different from different schools. Different systems down to different school levels allow you to make those different types of decisions as far as hardware, software, and training. We just was identified that MPS says you better not try to train anywhere. Enterprise, as you were saying there, they did allow access and participation for teachers at the school levels. And what was that other school? Davis, you guys have a committee. So the access is discussed by other people, but as we can see, it's surprising, right? Nobody thought the Title I schools would have all those resources.
Hey, can I say something about Title I? My school qualifies for Title I, but barely. Like we just barely were over the whatever number you had to have to qualify. But the system made the decision that they weren't going to give us the funding. They took our funding and split it among the other title schools that are more needy. in their opinion. So we don't really have that, and I didn't know that was.
I didn't think that was legal, but maybe
I didn't either, because years ago we were title, like legit title, and we got a bunch of money and we got a bunch of resources like you're talking about. And then when we lost that title status, they came and took those resources that we'd bought with title money and took it to the schools that still had title status.
Wow.
That's interesting, because most of the time with that title money, it stays, you log it and document it right there in that school.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Make sure you get.
Like I can move my stuff from one classroom to the other side of the building when kindergarten swapped.
It had to stay there.
It had to stay in the classroom.
Yeah. So I was always under, maybe some of the stuff changed, you know, but you might as well just move then. Sound like it.
No, my classroom is well equipped, but that's because I get gifted money. That's a little different, but the general ed's.
So, but the point is though, where the leadership impacts the implementation of it and the access, just as you were saying there, that's a system choice to do that, you know, is to move those resources. So, and if a school was a title school, then they still don't have the resources that they needed when they were a title school.
That's right.
So, and just providing technology and resources does not recover from teaching or the social issues that students face. And a lot of times they say, well, they probably took your computers and everything and gave it over there, but they didn't train the teachers on how to utilize the technology. And some of it may even been outdated. So if you take that outdated technology over there, frustrate people because they can't use it and it's out of date and it doesn't have the proper applications on it, it makes it even more difficult. But as you can see, guys, it's unique in how people address those funding and financing of schools. We got a couple more questions. I'm gonna go a little bit faster, okay? Disabilities. What evidence was found to support your school system support of students with disabilities?
We have assistive technology policies, sort of like the gentleman from MPS mentioned. It's all handled through special ed, and I mean they handle all of it, the equipment, the who gets it, when they get it, and all that. So I personally have not had much interaction with it.
What school are you from?
Watauga County.
Watauga and MPS have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's handled through special education. Anyone else find policy?
I didn't find a policy, but I know our special education teacher is who handles all that. When I was in the classroom, I had a learner that had cochlear implants, and so she handled the buying of his FM transmitter and all of that stuff through special ed, and special ed had to pay for it. It didn't come out of like technology, according to what she was telling me.
That's right.
Okay. So there's 3 right there. That's Pike Road, MPS, and Watauga.
At my school, we don't have the resources to help a wide variety of students, but we are finding that we're kind of at a crossroads. Do we make our school more open and who we accept, bring in more outside resources, or do we say, you know, you've got to make the grade or you're gone? And it kind of right now we've decided we're going to care for those who are already there. So we're trying to bring in some extra people, but for now, MobiMax is kind of the closest thing that we have. It's a subscription based. It kind of like self-paces them to help bring them up to different levels. But that's really the closest thing that we have right now.
Okay, so guys, that's a great comparison. She teaches at a private school. They don't, the accessibility and disability is not their responsibilities.
Wow.
Yeah.
I came from ACA, which is a private school here in Montgomery, before going to Pike Road, and it was the same way.
So the disabilities are responsible. That's for the parents, and it's going to be interesting. You know, there was national conversations about getting rid of it. So I would like to see what happens if that occurs. You know, if we say, hey, we don't have to pay for these disabilities, that's going to be really interesting.
Well,
You guys, I couldn't find an assistive technology plan, but I had a student a few years ago that had to wear a microphone and he had a hearing aid, and I got that from the special ed teacher.
So I would say assistive technology is something that's undervalued, or how can I better say it? It's something that's extremely important, but not pushed.
I agree with that statement because I personally know our special ed coordinator for the county. She used to teach at our high school and she just moved into that role. So I just emailed her and asked, and her response was kind of like, oh, no, I've never thought about a policy before. I mean, but our students, we have one student that has like a FM transmitter or the same thing. I mean, they seem to have what they need. I've never seen a child that didn't, but I think that we just kind of, okay, you need this, we're going to take care of that. But I don't think it's actually a policy anywhere.
Kind of left up to the parents to come in and say, hey, I know these are my rights and this is what I need. That's what we're kind of going through this year. We have a student that needs assistive technology, and her parents made sure that we knew everything that they had in their rights.
Absolutely. And that's probably the parent education as well, that the parent is responsible enough to come in and do that. If it was just left up to the school, it may not have. That's awful to say, I know, but.
Well, and that's probably when it's going to fall under special education instead of technology budget too. When they're calling on the IEP stuff.
Now you guys see why you don't see the policies?
Yes.
You would think that would be mandatory to have a policy on assistive technology, because it kind of like, to me, like almost blatant ignoring them in a sense.
I
And
think it's
leaving it all up to the parents,
But if we educated everyone on it, we couldn't afford to educate everybody. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because then if we had the policies, we get sued because we didn't follow the policies.
Yeah.
So
Well, an example just did come to my mind. We do have one student that is in a wheelchair. She has muscular dystrophy, and she is being fitted for an electronic wheelchair, but it's something that her family went and qualified for independently. Like the school had absolutely no
do with it.
Has nothing to do with it at all. We just monitor her at school and, kind of follow the procedures we're supposed to follow with her, but they have nothing to do with her. And when we took that class last summer, that was one of the big things that was in learning about AT, was like the chairs and things like that, that were part of it. But her family did that on their own. And I guess if they had not pursued it, she would still be in a regular wheelchair.
Yeah.
And that's the piece about it. The funding is just, it's an incredible amount of funding that's required for them. And it's just that you would think that we would educate teachers on assistive technologies, but as you can see, that if parents are aware of their rights, they still have to fight for them. But at the same time, there's a lot of legal money that's spent. The lawyers are happy, but at the same time, the services can be extremely expensive. Just think about it. For some students, you might have 10 students that you have to have a personal aide for, and the school have to pay for that. So that aide is there with that student all day. Just changing the infrastructure, changes in the buildings, the accommodations, and like you said, with the student with the hearing issues and the implant, the school was responsible for making sure that the voice amplification systems were there, not the parent. So as you can see, it can be expensive. And then the time part with all of the meetings, the policies, the paperwork, it can be extremely difficult. So you can see assistive technology is important. However, it is a hidden gem, I would say that. It's extremely important. However, it's difficult. Everybody okay with that one? We can move to the next one.
There we go.
Acceptable use policies. Are you acceptable use? Who all had one?
Looks like
Otaga has one.
Lee Scott.
I think Chilton does. It really isn't the same as everybody else's that I looked at, but we had something I would consider acceptable use.
Ours are divided by grade level. or chunks of grade levels. So we actually have 3 different ones based on if we're 1-to-1, 2-to-1, or student owned.
Okay. So as you can see, different ones have different things. Now, do you see these policies as being restricted, creative, and the policies?
Our policy really helped us out recently. There were 2 girls who were using their student-owned devices at home to be ugly to one another back and forth. And then the parents came back and said, well, you required our students to have these devices. It's on you. But it was already spelled out in our acceptable use policy. And so that took the pressure off of that situation and put it back in the parents' hands, which it should have been all along.
Yes, that's why we have these policies, to blame people.
Right? Yeah. If it happens at school, that's one thing. But if it happens at your home, monitor your child.
And I can understand if they were on Blackboard and they were in the class discussions and said in Blackboard, then I was okay. That was a school sponsored, and that I can see something about that.
Yeah.
You say
they were in iMessage, which they're not even allowed to use at school.
So that's on the parent.
Right. Yeah. It just blows my mind that they would come up to the school and be mad about that.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Our policy was really long. It's like 6 pages, and this is Pike Road. And it was a lot of stuff, but we have a new actually our tech department went under a major overhaul since I guess Thanksgiving. And so we're in the middle now of working on digital norms for our learners. So we're going to take all this stuff that is in these 6 pages, because that's when you read that, it's like womp, 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 it's too much. With maybe 4 or 5 digital norms that our learners are supposed to follow to kind of make it to where kids can be held more accountable for their actions when it comes to acceptable use.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
And that's something very new. Erica probably doesn't even know about it yet because we just met about it on Friday. But
I was going to say, I have no clue what you're talking about.
But that's something that we're starting to work on because, like Leanne said, there are kids all the time doing things. I mean, we have kids that aren't even up. Their parents said, I don't want this device to come home. And so we have to lock it up and keep it at school because they don't even want their child to have it at home. But there are those kids that do that sort of thing. And then parents want to say, it comes back to you. Or the better one is, I don't know how to use it. He knows more about it than I do. So I don't know what he's doing at home on it, kind of thing. Yeah. And we deal with that a lot.
I bet.
Well, I would just say you couldn't have me there. They wouldn't like me because I tell them they've been doing the same thing they've been doing all the rest of the time.
All that we kind of have is ever since we, Mr. Blair's talking about, we have a Google account for all of our students, and so using the Google Apps for Education, we now make our students and parents sign a paper about how that's for school use. I mean, that's kind of the only thing that would kind of go in this category that we have, and it's only specific to Google. It's not specific to a device or anything. It's just for that program. So, we are limited to what, if those types of situations, like Diana and Leanne were saying, that we really couldn't hold anything, because of that.
And they're different. As you can see, they're different depending on where you are and the access. I think some places they're real free with their acceptable use policies. Basically there is something on there about utilizing the resources for illegal things. Content such as that. One time at Alabama they had an incident, and it was interesting but not interesting, sad but not sad at the same time. So, we had the library. All of a sudden they put access code on the library. And we was like, isn't a library supposed to be open to everyone? That's public funding. So they saying, well, these little kids that from the neighborhoods around here come in here and use the computer. So they put them on there so the kids can do it. And then they say, oh, they watching porn. They doing this and that. So I made a sarcastic comment. So I said, hopefully they're getting education then. I say it might not be the proper education, but I say the point was that they had access. You know, that was the only point. I said, well, where did you go? Did anybody stop and say that their use of the access and the materials was inappropriate? I say, no, you walked by, never said anything. I said, a little bit of a conversation could have been a whole lot better than restricting it to every kid in the whole, you know, in the whole area. And say, instead of addressing it and providing support to the student, we develop more restrictive policies. People gonna do wrong stuff with it. We already know that, right?
Right. Human nature.
It is what it is. So, but what we do is we become more restrictive on everyone, and which defeats the whole function and purpose sometimes. Y'all good with this one?
Yes. Yes.
Eller? Erica?
We're good.
Davis Elementary, you good?
Yes, sir.
I think everybody should go to Davis Elementary.
You are welcome to come. We would love it.
I would have came before the state got there. Now you won't see me.
I know, huh?
Yeah, y'all won't see anybody but the state.
Yes.
All right, so policies that guides teacher-student interactions, social media policy, and collaboration tools. I would suggest you guys kind of can combine those aspects together instead of having them as multiple questions like I did with you. As you can, he said, MPS does not have that policy.
Right.
I think any school had a teacher-student interaction policy at all.
That was another one that I didn't find anything in writing, but they sure tell us their rules for that when we have
right.
Yeah.
So
we have one at Heron Creek or in Enterprise talking about social media not friending the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Enterprise has one. Autauga County has an unspoken one.
Oh yes,
Unwritten.
Yeah, unwritten one.
Elmore County's the same way. They tell us at the beginning of every year, they give us the horror stories of people getting fired over what they put on social media, but it's not really in writing anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like that unspoken rule that you should already know, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was doing a presentation one time, and it was kind of interesting. I started talking about this, and everybody on the front row was trying to tell me to be quiet, and it was like, shh. It was like, I'm like, what the world y'all talking about? And it was a case where the girls, the teacher's mama was a principal in the school system, and she was in the professional learning.
Wow.
I'm like, what the world? They was like, stop. But the point was that I was saying this. I said, if you're an adult, I said, if you want to have sexual relations, I said, all you got to do is go out there and tell the world somebody will have relations with you. You don't need to go talk to those kids. You know, the point was that, and I was discussing how people get emotional attachments, you know, and when they become emotionally attached, they allow other things to happen. I don't know how they get to be that sick in the mind and go, you know, but then again, we're developing policies. That's something I think now we're developing the policy because it's becoming more of an issue.
You see it so much on the news almost every other day.
Because it's coming more of an issue, and the part is
that I did my internship under got arrested for sexting students.
Oh,
that was wonderful. I saw his face plastered all over the
I don't get how they would want to risk their entire career for doing that. You know, your career's over.
Well, they don't think that.
Why?
It's the same as kids. They feel like you can post anything on it. Just like people in Facebook and social media, you see them post things, you like, that person actually said that? You know, just like Erica. Erica goes under them anonymous names and says all kind of crazy stuff about me. All say about me face to face. Isn't that right, Erica?
All the time.
I know it, all the time. She always has a kind word to say about me. So, but then when I'm talking to her, she won't say that. But that's what people do. When they get social media, they get all these other outlets, they become a person that we really don't know. But I think what happens is that they get access and people start connecting and they start sharing personal information, and those boundaries are crossed both ways. But most importantly, it's crossed by the adult. But I always ask these questions when I do my ethics training. I say, what's different? You know, we have these different policies, but nobody says anything wrong when the band director marries his student 2 weeks after she graduates. Nobody says anything. So that's not a problem. But it's a problem if he married her 2 weeks before she graduated. 4 weeks ain't that much of a difference, you know. Something was going on in attraction within them 4 weeks, you know. You know, those are the cases there, you know. But then again, we got, what about the student that just graduated? They went to dual enrollment, so they graduated at 20 or 19 and a half instead of 21. Okay, they're dating 17-year-old while they were in college. Now they got a job teaching. Is that wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Is it? How many of you guys dated someone that was 2 years older than you were?
My husband's 2 years younger than me.
Oh, okay. So your husband was a pedophile, the one working for everybody else. Got everybody else searching.
It depends on the timeline.
It depends on the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with Erica.
So you got an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old, not even in the same classes, but at the same different schools within the same system. Should that
He's
be
18 or he's 18. It's fine.
18 and 20?
They're both legal.
You
They're
still
both legal.
school if you're 18.
Go back and check that again.
Yeah.
That's not legal.
Why?
18-year-olds go to college.
Look at the policies. Dating students. I think
You're
it's
still a
19.
student in school. It doesn't matter how old they are.
You didn't say that one was a teacher.
I'm with you, Katie.
I did.
That is the law. As long as if they're in school or a school employee, it doesn't really matter their age.
That's true.
So it
Okay,
depends
I
on
know
where
you're
you are. Basically, it depends on your community standard. If the community standard says it's fine and nobody says nothing about it, then it goes on. Does that make
In
sense?
a small town like I do, everybody knows about it.
Yep.
They talk about it, but nobody put them in jail. So
Exactly.
I know we got a couple in jail.
all right. So as we found out that there's no limitations, so teachers can go talk to their students at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock at night, using the virtual conferencing tool. So you
I ain't
have
awake that long.
access distance learning going on at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey,
Better not be.
No, my bedtime's in 2.
Yep, I'm snoozing.
My bedtime's 9. I should be in bed.
Way past bedtime.
Erica has been consistent on 9 o'clock bedtime.
Look, I'm going to be the time facilitator to keep our group moving.
That's an
Oh,
8-year-old.
Sounds great.
Erica's always mean. So
14.
okay. So as you can see, it's different from every place. How many people had one?
Enterprise.
Lee Scott.
Lee Scott, Enterprise. Anybody else?
No.
We had a
Elmore and
teacher.
Otago's were unwritten.
Unread. So everybody else says just a go for all. We're not gonna educate you on. We just gonna fire you when something comes out. Intellectual property rights. Anybody find anything on that?
None of MPS.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Plagiarism policy. There was one policy. Not for our school system, though.
Y'all gotta look a little bit harder. I'm pretty sure that's in there.
I think it's in the.
Well, we have
Couple of
some,
years.
Elmore County has some provisions for plagiarism. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
Yeah.
intellectual property. If you work and develop a curriculum while you at school using their computers and resources, they own it.
Oh, no, we don't have that.
No, I did not find anything on that.
Nothing.
I will assure you it's there.
But where in the website is it?
Uh,
Yeah, because I didn't see
I
it.
agree. Nobody in Chilton
You
County.
looked on every link and you looked at every document, every file, and you don't find it. Like, is it like some secret place in the
no,
dark
probably
website?
it's probably gonna be in your acceptable use or your technology.
Well, then if you do like teachers pay teachers, does that mean that you owe them part of your profits?
Yep,
Because that would suck.
Can't use school.
yep, because you use school property to
Yeah.
create. I can come back and sue you and win easily because you utilize the school property created.
I don't get paid enough. Y'all can have it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I use my own.
Yeah.
So I never have that issue. But as you can see, I think it was in the Mountain Brook policy that I put on there. It was, I think, an acceptable use of one of them, but it was in there. And I was like, why would Mountain Brook, they got all that money, be concerned about somebody creating something with their resources? Okay, if you create something that sells and becomes a national hit, thank you very much. We own it. Now, how many of you believe that the superintendents and the board members would take that intellectual property? If you created something that went national,
Oh, they would jump on it.
Yeah.
I would guarantee you they would have all your internet searches, every documentation, everything. They would have your files on the computer, everything checked to see if it was done there. So that's the thing to think about as well. You know, we can develop things, and I can say, well, that was part of the curriculum. That was part of your job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're presenting at ISTE this summer, and our workshop's paid. But I would be very upset if they wanted my money. But so far, nobody said anything.
Just saying. I would look at the policies and be very careful in that. Just letting you guys know that. Also with students, you know, student creation stuff. Is it part of curriculum? Who owns it? Okay, they created it with university property. I mean, your school properties. Those things would be real interesting to think about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, every time when they get in trouble, the systems are quick to point out, you know, the fault then, but when it's something positive, it's sometimes different. All right. How relevant are your school systems policies? Are they up to date or out of date?
I think ours are getting where they need to be. They're in process.
That's the
MPS, yeah.
police got.
Yeah, Lee Scott, sorry.
Teresa, what about you? You got the serious look.
Oh, so I was reading the slide. Well, the one that I had was a couple years old. They're reworking it, but they seem to be pretty relevant. They're trying to keep everything updated. We have a new superintendent, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes he makes with all of these different policies.
Okay, are they relevant in respective of the teacher's needs?
Mostly.
Okay, that was a very good answer. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, they don't hit 100% of us all the time. That's impossible. So I think they're doing a pretty good job for the most part.
All right, Tracy Bass.
Yes.
What about yours?
Well, from what I've read, it's some things are outdated, but it looks like their 2020 plan is coming to revise a lot of information.
Okay, so I want y'all to think about that. If your policy doesn't even have social media interactions, utilizing virtual technologies, virtual worlds, are they relevant? Are they dated?
Not really.
With the types of technology available now, the types of technology students are using, the types of technology that are in the classrooms and those that are coming, like you were saying, virtual schools, are the policies appropriate for those? What about from that perspective? Are they dated?
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as you write in your discussions, that's how you piece it together like that. So with the current trends and current issues, there's nothing to address it. So there's no guidelines for it, and there are no answers really to guide people. Most of the time, what we find is a bunch of limitations.
Yep.
Mhm.
There's things to protect themselves.
That's it.
And I think there's a fear of adding updated policies for that making them tied to doing something they don't want to do or they don't have money to do.
Yep. It's about protecting the policy. And the first thing they say, well, you broke policy, because when they say you broke policy, the lawsuit now is on you, not them. All right, let's get to this last one here. I think this is it. What are the most pressing issues facing instructional technology integration into school settings? So what did you guys find out from your interviews?
My technology contact that I was able to get in touch with, money's the first thing she listed. Lack of funding, and then infrastructure was the second thing she listed, the big things. And then, of course, we've talked about lack of professional development for the teachers, but we feel like we have a lack of adequate technicians that are trained for schools, like for what education does. They just don't understand our needs.
But those are the ones that make the policies and tell you what to do.
That's right. Send me an email when the power's out to tell me that the internet was down. Really think.
Yeah, I would say that's a good one there. That's real good. Hey.
And he sent that email so that nobody would call him and tell him that the internet was down.
Wow. I think social media would have been a whole lot better, or just a kind of a notification system, would have been a lot. Like, social media is horrible. Like today, I found out because somebody posted a video like a tornado damage in Eufaula. So my wife sent, we were at a retirement thing on campus, and she sent a picture. She said, "Is that your brother's car?" Like,
what?
Oh my God. That's because somebody went and did a video on social media showing all the damage and everything. Yes, that's his car. That damaged, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy. Everybody puts everything out everywhere. But they're not really thinking about consequences or anything else.
One item that was different than what Jessica had mentioned, that my technology coordinator at my school actually was her first thing, was the lack of being able to assign projects that are technology based at home, just because she's also our technology teacher. Just because so many of our students don't have internet access at home, or they don't have a device to do the policies. So even though we want them to do all this technology stuff at school, we can't really let it follow over to home because it's just not applicable to everybody, which goes back to the equitable issue. But that was actually her number one complaint. And I guess that she has that complaint too, because not only is she our technology coordinator, but she's also a teacher. So
let me tell you what to ask her. Ask her what's the function of the homework.
Right.
Is it busy work or is it necessary? Because a lot of times we feel homework is necessary, but it's basically busy work. Ask them how is it relevant and how is it going to support it.
Homework at our school is frowned upon in Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do observation hours in Prattville Junior High School and Prattville High School, and I asked teachers there, did they assign homework? And they said no, because students never do them anyway.
And there's no consequences.
And there's no consequences also.
Yeah, ours is just unfinished. What if you don't finish at school? Unfinished classwork.
Well, it's different from different places. So just ask her, what's the real function of it, but you're never going to get that. The closest you're going to get that is Leanne. That might be the closest person that you can get to that, because the parents demand it. They demand it from their kids. So that's a whole different thing. They are already responsible for providing that for them. So it's not like you saying it's got to be something added. There's already a requirement. So
Our parents run their kids back and forth to so many activities, though. It doesn't get done either.
Yep, they don't want the homework, and they will tell you. They have practice, they got dance tonight, and they will let you know that they're not going to do their homework tonight because they have to do this. Just kind of like Erica tells me about everything that I do. Not you, Miss Eller. I'm picking at her tonight. And that's okay, Erica?
That's fine.
All right, so how you guys want to come up with these papers now? I got 12 of y'all on here, so we can make a class decision on the paper part or podcast part, whatever you want to do.
Can I ask a question? Just ask. Now, I know that originally the part of the assignment was to do the memo and then create a presentation like this on Zoom. I know that we're all kind of doing that together now. So can I just clarify like what you actually want out of the assignment now, please?
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
You look so nice.
Yeah, I was opening up the windows of opportunity.
Okay.
What I would like to see is that everybody can make a personal comparison between the different types of information. I wanted to make sure that everybody could find the policies, look for them, evaluate them. I think it's more important that you evaluate different things instead of making you do a budget. You know, we could spend a week on doing a budget or two. Budget. But I think to know what other people are doing, how other people are funding the schools, is more important because that's what you do in real life. You go and talk to other people,
right?
And look at what they've done. So what I would like is I want to make sure everybody can do the comparisons. You can do a podcast. I've always opened it up for people who would rather talk about it to do a podcast than the written part. For me, that's a whole lot easier. I can talk about it a lot quicker than I can write about it. My thoughts flow a lot easier than it is writing about it. So,
we know.
If you feel more comfortable doing a podcast, doing a comparison, that's perfectly fine.
And the written would be a memo if we wanted to do a written one?
Yeah, you can write it up and do a comparison. It's going to be a little bit long memo, though. You know, it's because you're doing the comparison of 4 to 5. But I think we answered most of the questions tonight. Wouldn't you guys say so?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
The whole part is to get you to see the differences in the comparisons. So as far as I think everybody contributed enough. So what are you guys' suggestions for the write-up or the podcast or what? How should we go for it now?
I don't think it needs to be. Does it have to be a memo? Because a memo has a bunch of different parts that won't go with comparing.
Yeah, because a memo has to have a problem and a solution, right? So,
what's the problem?
The lack of technology integration into the classrooms.
And who was supposed to come up with the solutions or recommendations?
The technology coordinator.
No, you guys were.
We supposed to come up with 2 of them, right?
Yeah, so part of what you're doing is, in your analysis, you're supposed to discuss the differences and the issues, but at the same time, you know, possible solutions to those issues that you discovered.
Can we just say like a loose memo style?
I like it.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want a regular educational paper, though. You know, I don't want that. I want the real analysis.
We just want the gist.
I want to see that you can see the differences, identify the issues, compare, contrast, but at the same time offer an educated solution or suggestion.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Can be done.
To us working together as a group in the memo still, or is this something you want us to do?
I'm going to let you answer that yourself.
But if we're in different, we want a personal view for people in a system, right?
Well, I just said that we were going to talk about it and y'all guys was going to offer up suggestions for me on how we're going to do this. So I can go back to my original plan or you go.
Groups works great.
I think there's enough category division. We could split it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we are professionals for certain school systems and we can compare them within.
I agree. And that may even give us more insight to the other if we work with someone from a different system.
Dreamwork. Makes the dream work. I'm just gonna throw that one.
So what are you guys gonna do?
Working.
Erica Griffin. I got to get Erica Griffin. Since she asked the question, I told her she was going to have to answer it.
I think working in groups works great.
Everybody in agreement with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody disagree?
I don't disagree, but I have a question.
Yeah.
If we work in groups and do a podcast,
it might be better to do like a Zoom thing.
Yeah.
You could drop your stuff into iMovie. Like you can individually record your sound and just export it as an MP4.
Okay.
Miss Techie.
I mean, I don't know.
Or some people going to do like a group podcast, and some people going to do a group paper, or
I don't know. That's up to the group to decide.
Okay.
I think we leave it up to each individual group if they want a memo or podcast.
That's it. That's where I see it. I said, if you
Yes.
want to jump off a cliff by yourself, do it.
well,
Don't
Bring
ask
somebody
everybody.
with me.
Yeah, I know it. Don't ask everybody else to jump. I'm gonna tell you, go ahead on. Let me know how it feels.
like, you know, I feel hitting the cement.
Yep. So, and then y'all can have that by next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, and after you finish that, then we're gonna focus on that this week, and then the next week we're gonna shift over to that ISTE review. And basically what you're gonna do is go through the process of submitting all the questionnaire, and then you're gonna make some more recommendations. But we'll talk about that more after you guys finish this, because you really need to focus on that. And then the rest of the semester we have, we're gonna work on just reviewing the concepts. I think part of what we do a lot of times, we focus on discussing stuff, but we never go back and reflect on it. Does that make sense?
This has been very educational, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, actually.
What did you say?
I said this has been very educational.
Oh, you such
All 2 hours and 17 minutes of it.
I'm sure I will see that on my evaluation from it will definitely be on there.
I think she's cranky because she said she goes to bed at 9.
She does.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry I made her miss her bedtime every time she gets on here. So she does let me know that every time we have a conversation that she goes to bed at 8:30. So any other questions? You guys clear on what you're going to be doing? And then we're going to focus on the live text. I'll tell you guys what to put on there, how to do it. But you should be finished with everything by the last week of class. If you finish everything and turn it in, I'll have it graded so you have an idea what your grade is. There shouldn't be any questions about what your final grade is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question.
Who is that?
It's me.
Oh, you always have a question.
No, not really.
All right, but you're more than welcome to ask it, though.
Kind of scared to ask you, but have you started looking at our white papers yet?
Oh.
Yeah, I ran into a problem.
You did?
Yeah. And I forgot to talk about that tonight. Y'all need to go back and check them now. Proper citations was something I saw on one of them. Now, when you cite something, you don't just put the name and
The year.
you got to cite them properly. If it's dependent, go back to the OWL. If it came from an online website, there's a proper citation that you put for it. Some of them just had the author name, no dates or anything like that.
Okay.
So go back and look at those types of things. If
You
it
returned them
came,
to us?
ma'am,
Have you returned them to us?
no, they still there. I hadn't graded them yet.
Oh, okay.
How do they look besides the improper citation?
Raquel,
I was just curious.
how do they look? They look like a digital document. I think you're worried more about you worried about the text more than the information that's in the text. Does that make sense?
I guess.
view everything as a process. Erica, go on and go to bed. We're not going to talk about anything else. Adios.
She's too happy.
But no, with that, I mean, I will tell you if you got to go back. And isn't that right, Teresa?
Yes, you will.
And Teresa never likes to hear back from me. Isn't that right, Teresa?
Well, I always appreciate the second chance to fix it and get it right.
Me too.
The piece is that everybody should be successful in this class by the end of the class. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
So as I always say from day one, if you're not successful in the class, then something is wrong. So Raquel, if there's ever a question, you can always call me. We can talk about it. My point is, if you can prove your point and convince me of looking and viewing a different way, then that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
There's no one right way of doing things, one right knowledge. Everybody's going to be different because we have different experiences. Any other questions? Diana? You've been mighty quiet tonight. Any questions from you?
I haven't been mighty quiet. I answered lots of questions about our school. I think I'm good.
All right.
My baby, she's just ready to go to bed.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry to keep y'all up so late, but I wanted to get perspective from the tech coordinators so that you guys can see a little bit different from a person that's a larger system. Smaller systems have more responsibilities. Like Diana walked into a death trap out there because she's going to have to be the federal programs person. You have to do everything when you're in a smaller system, which is part of the job, though. But then again, you don't have to deal with 30,000 people either. So that makes it a lot better. It makes it where you can be more personal and provide the proper training to that. So look at 30,000 people and 3,000 teachers and 6 coaches. That's not possible. All right. What about you, fussing lady? Jessica Owen?
What do you want from me?
Oh, well, I just would like for you to come off cloud 13.
I am asleep. I am currently asleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Casey, did I say your name right?
Yes, sir.
You actually contributed for once in your life. I'm glad you did before you graduated.
Thank you.
Anybody else coming to graduation?
I am.
In December.
I'm talking about this.
I graduated July.
Anybody graduating in May?
No.
Me, Leanne.
Okay. I'll see Leanne there. We'll celebrate with Leanne.
I'll
Right.
see you at the East Alabama Technology Conference.
Yes. Anybody interested, I could send information your way.
All right. Just post it in the Facebook group.
I will.
And anybody that's interested. Any other questions? Everybody good on what they're going to be doing this week, right?
Yes.
I guess just y'all start a little thread in Facebook group to discuss who are going to be in your group so I can have an idea.
All right.
Okay.
And so then it'll have a better idea. So I can create the group submission for the assignment. So then, when it's submitted, I can just put everything in there for everybody at one time.
Okay.
But it's really hard to make this assignment wrong. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
It's really hard to make it wrong. If you make this wrong, please do not ask me for a second chance or feedback.
I get you.
Because you got every answer already to every part of it.
Yes.
Leanne?
Where will this be accessible to re-watch if needed?
Oh, Raquel, the one did it. She the one took it over.
It's still recording right now.
She what?
It's still recording right now.
It's going to record it to your computer. It's going to be a folder in there. And what you're going to need to do is we can put it in that shared Google Drive folder.
Okay.
Everybody to access it in there. So she can put it in there because all you should be able to edit it. So it's going to save to her computer. Raquel, when it gives you a message saying save it, make sure you save it, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, you the
Don't
most
say
nervous person that we got in the group.
Am I? Okay,
And you
I'll
the
take
one
that. I probably am.
and you gonna be responsible for making sure everybody else get this now. The whole world is in your hands.
No pressure, right?
None at all. Any other questions before we get out of here?
No questions.
Good.
Any other complaints?
No complaints.
So what are you gonna do for the rest of the semester, Leanne? What's the plan for the rest of the semester?
Oh my goodness.
This is the only class I have left. I finished all my other ones. So,
Oh, great.
yeah. So I'm just going to finish it out strong, I guess.
Well, I know. I just told you what you're gonna do. Would you tell me back?
Oh, with actual class?
Yes.
Oh, I'm very tired. I'm gonna work on my memo with Katie because she just posted that we're group mates, and then we're gonna do the ISTE thing. I keep getting an email asking me if I want to finish it, but I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just hanging on to it. And then we're going to review the things we've already learned
And your live text portfolio.
and my lab text, so I can submit that to my comp exam also.
Good. All right, I'm out. I'm tired too. I've been up more than any of y'all today. So, good night. I guess we'll probably.
today.
What? What did you say?
Teach dance tryouts today.
Oh, you did it.
I had to do it. Yes.
Well, I'm so glad you had to actually do something.
I don't have enough on my plate.
She's the busiest person I know.
That's why she's trying to be Leanne's partner, so she can get Leanne to do all the work.
That's right. You got to work smarter, not harder.
That's right. I'll
problem.
take it.
As long as I get the end result, I'm fine.
Right.
But you guys have a good one.
You too.
Take care till next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Dude.
Bye.
All right. Good night.
Good night.